Welcome to Cigar City Radio, episode number 61. First episode of the new year. Happy 2018, listeners. Yeah. I'm your host, Randy Ojeda, and making the magic happen, Mr. Jason Solanas.
Could you imagine what kind of world it would be if humans had...
I'm imagining that world, and it's disgusting. If you love Cigar City Radio, and we know that you do because you're listening, you can subscribe to the show via your favorite podcast app, whether that be on Android or iOS or Windows Phone. Do people still have Windows phones?
I have no idea if people still have Windows phones.
If you have a Windows phone, download a podcast app on your Windows Phone store and subscribe to us. You could do it. We're everywhere. Just search for Cigar City Radio. It's easy to find. We're even on Spotify now, so you don't even need a separate podcast app. You can listen to all your music, all your favorite records, and Cigar City Radio in the same spot, all episodes. It's beautiful. And you can find us on social media. How? Well, our new intern Kasha is going to let you know. Kasha, where can they find us?
Well, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Cigar City Radio.
That was beautiful.
Thank you very much.
The episode you're about to listen was recorded at the world-famous Blind Tiger Cafe in the heart of Ybor City, Tampa, Florida. The Blind Tiger Cafe is a speakeasy-inspired coffee house. We serve vegan pastries, coffee, tea, beer, kombucha, etc., etc., etc.
Our guest on this episode is former NFL player and radio personality Ian Beckles. Ian Beckles played 9 seasons in the NFL, 7 with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 2 with the Philadelphia Eagles. He was the former co-host of the highly rated Ron and Ian show on 620 WDAE. He now hosts his own show, The Ian Beckles Show, on 102.5 The Bone every Sunday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. He's also got his own football podcast, In the Trenches with Ian Beckles, that you can find wherever you're listening to Cigar City Radio. You can find it in the podcast app because it's a podcast. That's how it works. Yeah. Keep up with everything Ian Beckles, including his brand Dignitary Life, via Twitter at Ian Beckles. So here it is.
Here it is, episode 61.
That's my line, Kasha. Like, what are you doing?
Trying to help you out.
Okay. All right. That's pretty bold, intern. It is a Tuesday afternoon in Ybor City, Florida. It's a beautiful day, actually. We're hanging out with a man who needs no introduction, but I'm going to give him one anyways. Is seven-year vet for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Played 9 years in the NFL, right? Co-host of the Ron and Ian show on WDAE. Now he's got the Ian Beckles show on 102.5 The Bone. And you do so much stuff, man. I feel like you're always busy doing something because you also got your podcast too, right? In the Trenches with Ian Beckles.
Yeah.
And you're doing the Flavor of Tampa Bay too?
Well, I'm glad you gave me an introduction because I don't even know what I'm doing half the time. So I just finished my podcast, In the Trenches. I also have another podcast, Flavor in Your Ear. Mm-hmm. I'm on the bone every day now, like literally.
Every day?
Every day, yeah.
Damn.
So Monday through Friday, 5 to 6 a.m., bright and early. Saturday, I have a show with Ray Lampy, Dr. Barbecue. It's called Flavor. We just talk about food and entertaining stuff like that. And then Sunday is my show, Ian Beckles Show, 11 to 1 on the bone. So I don't work a lot of hours, but I work often.
You do a lot of things.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
You're still rooting for the Bucks, I can see, because you got the Bucks hat. And you talk a lot about the Bucks, even though you went and played for the Eagles for a little while, and you're not originally from Tampa, but Tampa's become your home now.
Yeah, I'm originally from Montreal, Canada, but I've been here since 1990. So I've been in Tampa longer than I was in Montreal. So I mean, this is my hometown now.
Yeah.
I'm not going anywhere. I played in Philadelphia for 2 years. Couldn't pay me enough to live there. There's not enough money.
I spent a summer in Philly.
There's not enough money. It's just not. That's not me.
Yeah.
And this is, Tampa Bay. I mean, I literally would have to take a lot of money to get me to leave this area.
Yeah.
I love Tampa Bay.
Yeah, it's a great place to be.
It is. I like your hat, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, this is
man,
actually
that's old school.
the Jameis one.
The Jameis one?
The Jameis
Okay.
one. Yeah.
I'm actually going to see Vinny Testaverde right after this. I haven't seen Vinny in maybe a dozen years, and I'm trying to get him to sign a jersey for me. So I'm going to go meet up with him at Old Memorial, and I haven't seen him forever, so looking forward to seeing him.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
You know, I actually just heard a funny story last night. We were in the studio with this guy, George Harris, and he records for Brian Johnson from AC/DC. And he said, I guess back in the day, they invited Brian Johnson to come, meet the Bucks or whatever. You know, he's AC/DC. So, they brought him out on the field, and he was walking through, and he saw a shirt that said B. Johnson. And he picked it up, and he's like, "Oh, this is thank you for making the custom jersey." And they were like, "No, that's Brad Johnson's jersey."
Yeah.
But he's from England. He's like, "I don't know who that guy is. Who's Brad Johnson?"
Yeah.
You know?
Well, he can wear the jersey.
Yeah, exactly. B. Johnson. That's who he is.
I would never wear a jersey with my name on it.
No, really.
But in that situation, he could actually do it and get away with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like people wear jerseys with their name on it. It's weird.
You don't like the custom jersey thing, or people?
Nah, it's weird. It's weird. Like I've had I was in sports radio forever, and the Lightning will give us these presents, and they give us a beautiful jersey and put my name on the back.
Yeah.
That's not what I want.
Why the fuck are you going to walk around with a name tag on?
That's what I mean. First of all, if I'm a Lightning game, I want my name on my back walking around. No.
Who am I rooting for?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
It's
no.
all me, dude.
Yeah,
It's
I'll
all
go
me.
Stamkos or whatever, but I don't want to see Beckles in the back of a hockey jersey. Yeah.
Now someone's going to
No, somebody's gonna make it now. Somebody's gonna make a Beckles
Probably,
Lightning jersey.
and you don't. If you play ball, you don't wear your own jersey either. That's just
Is it
not
like a
something.
superstitious thing?
No, it's just a human thing.
Yeah, okay.
Nobody.
What about when you go out in public? You don't even wear
No
any-
way.
Yeah,
No,
that's a definite no too, right? Yeah.
When I played, I actually didn't wear Buccaneer stuff when I was walking around. It's
You
too
wore
much.
enough,
It's
man. That's
overkill.
work.
It's overkill. You know what I mean? Now that I'm done, I wear Buccaneers and Tampa Bay stuff all the time to represent. But I'm just representing the orange since they got rid of the orange, and I'm not too happy with that.
No, me neither.
know?
I love the orange stuff.
They canceled the throwback game, 2 years ago, just 2 weeks before. Like, nope, we're going to pull the game.
Well, they actually had the throwback. Well, actually, no, I think they.
It was something with the helmets. I remember they said they couldn't change helmets. But then I noticed, who was it? The Broncos, they had on navy blue helmets that were totally different than their normal helmets.
Well,
So
I think the ruling was you could only have one helmet. So you can't wear orange and then wear the Buccaneers colors with the helmet. Okay. So that's why they had to get rid of the orange, and it's never going to be gone. We'll
concussion.
Keep it alive.
Because I think they mold the helmets now, if I'm not mistaken, to the
Yeah.
person's head, so they don't want to keep changing things.
I mean, there's a guy. We've been season ticket holder for like 20 years. So
Really?
we got
97.
So
Nice.
there's a guy in our section that still rocks his Eric Rhett jersey.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so you guys waited for me to leave to become season ticket. I left in 96.
That's
I left
what we
in
waited
96.
for. We were like, okay,
I
Beckles is off the team now. Let's buy him.
I remember my dad taking me in the early 90s and walk up to the window, and he would say, "Where do you want to sit?"
Where do you want to sit?
And you could literally pick anywhere you
Yeah.
wanted to sit. And then as the years, when Dungy came and they changed the uniforms, and it became 300,000 people on a waiting list.
Yeah, things changed so quickly. When I left here in '96, which would have been Dungy's first year, people were starting to love the Bucks a little bit. And then I came back when they played Detroit in the playoffs. I sat in the stands. They lost that game. And then the year after, I went to a playoff game, and I actually sat in Warren Sapp's box. And I sat and watched the field, and I go, I don't know what the hell just happened. Because the electricity in that stadium was 50 times what we used to have.
Was that the last year at Houlihan?
No, that was actually the first year in the new stadium.
stadium,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
No, the new stadium was like magic.
Yeah.
It was
When
it was crazy, and those guys were all dancing and acting a fool. And when I'm watching the Bucks now, I'm like, that ain't it, man.
No.
It ain't it no more. Because on kickoff, there's 20,000 people there, and it's just no. I don't know, man.
There's more away fans than there are
way
home
more.
fans,
Yeah, on that Monday night last night, I'm happy that the Falcons were red. Or else it would have been, if it was blue, it would have been blue everywhere.
Yeah.
And that's embarrassing when you're playing on national TV
Absolutely.
and the stadium's half empty and half of them have blue jerseys. So, we've fallen a long way.
Yeah. So let's say, hypothetically, somebody, they put you in charge. They make you GM Ian Beckles.
Yeah, man.
What's the move? What's the first thing that you do if you're GM of the Bucs right now?
The first thing I do, I strengthen both lines. You know, everybody wants to say, oh, we got Jameis as a quarterback and we have great receivers, and we do. Nobody's ever won in any level of football without good lines. It can't happen. It doesn't work. So if you can't rush the passer and then, you know, impose your will on somebody on offense, you can't win. Yeah. I mean, even you see a team like this, the Saints. The Saints are winning right now. The Saints run the ball 50% of the time. That's a good equation. Yeah. If you ever quarterbacks throw the ball 45 times a game, bad things are going to happen eventually. So I strengthen my offensive line. You know, Dallas Cowboys, you know, Jerry Jones was drafted an offensive lineman in the first round. Everybody's like, he's crazy. Now, all of a sudden, you know, they can play. And you know, it doesn't even matter who's behind them anymore because they're solid up front. So Jason Light's been around a long time to not have found a pass rusher. Yeah, I'm going to go find me a pass rusher somewhere, somehow, by accident. Our left tackle may be the worst in football. Donovan Smith just can't play. I don't think he's going to be around next year. And those aren't easy things to go out and just go snag. You just go snag a left tackle or a pass rusher. They're not out there. So you got to be good at evaluating talent. And I don't see talent on our defensive line at all. Chris Baker, they paid him all kind of money. I'm not sure he's made a play this year.
Best thing he's done is be a clown on Hard Knocks.
It was great. He was a clown. It was funny. It was funny. I'm like, this guy's awesome. I mean, everybody. I literally can't think of a play he made this year. I know he made a bunch of money. So Gerald McCoy, I've been the guy. I've been on Gerald McCoy for a long time. I mean, people still tell me he's great, but I've never seen somebody who's great that when I put the film on, he's not doing something. And that's what everybody wants to tell me he's great. Yeah. But it's a long time into Gerald McCoy's career now for your greatness not to ever to have equated into anything. Like, he's been to 6 Pro Bowls. Our defense has never been ranked high. He's never won anything. And he's never had statistics, so I just don't understand the whole thing. And his mentality, you have to have a certain mentality as a football player. Mm-hmm. I had Al Bubba Baker on my show the other day. He's an old school Detroit Lion guy. And I looked in his eyes, and that's the mentality that I want. Like, he's trying to crush everybody, and he thinks he's the baddest MFer on the field all the time. And I said to him, what do you think about somebody picking somebody up off the ground? He goes, who's doing that? And I said, well, I got in trouble in the press because I said Gerald McCoy needs to stop picking people up off the ground. You don't see Ray Lewis picking people up off the ground. You smash them in the face, and you get back to the huddle, and you talk bad about them a little bit. You know, it's not about being nice. I don't understand this whole being nice thing. Yeah. Like, you could be nice if you want, but you can't be the leader of a defense if you're nice. You got to be a bad son of a gun. I mean, and stop picking people up off the ground. The baddest ones didn't do that. If I had an offensive line coach that one time saw somebody pick somebody off the ground, he stopped the film, he turned the lights on. He goes, if I ever see a son bitch pick somebody off the ground again, I'm going to cut you immediately. And he goes, not only do I not want you to pick somebody off the ground, if the whistle doesn't blow, go down and gore them. That's the world I came from. Yeah. And that's all I know. So when I see people being nice on the football field, it doesn't sit well with me.
Do you think that's like a culture shift in the NFL in general? Because I feel like even the NBA is like that. Like you hear Charles Barkley and these guys talk about, like, you know, the players now are soft. You know, there was much more smash mouth in the 90s. It was kind of the same way in football too.
In the world,
yeah,
our world.
It's true.
Our world is like that now. Everybody, you got to be nice. You can't be mean to anybody. Everybody's getting bullied. You know, bully. I mean, does anybody in this room not get bullied? Who hasn't been bullied? And getting bullied and getting your way out of it is how you grow. Yeah. You know, now we have kids that are getting bullied in school, and they're going to be on television next to their mommy talking about how they're getting bullied. How is that going to help the situation? Yeah. You see what I'm saying? I mean, I have kids. I have 3 kids. None of my kids ever came to me and said I'm getting bullied. But I would say this. I would say, take care of it. Dot their freaking eye. Sure? Dot them and take care. Whatever you got to do to stop them from doing that, do it.
Are you sure it's because the other kids didn't know that their dad was Ian Beckles? You know?
Well, my kids are all pretty sturdy, man.
I believe it.
My kids are all pretty darn sturdy to where you know they're not gonna get pushed around like that. And it shouldn't matter about size. It should be a respect thing. Yeah. I don't care if you weigh 120 pounds, good for you. And I weigh 120 times 3. But if I'm 120 pounds and somebody is stepping to me, I'm gonna say, yo, bro, if you don't step back, I'm going to smash you with this microphone.
Yeah.
But then it's got to be real, though. Whatever comes out of your mouth, it's got to be real, because I know 120-pound dudes that are badass cats. I mean, that's the way they're on the earth, you know?
Yeah. And
I've seen football players 330 that were soft, and I saw football players at a 170 that will run through this wall 10 times straight.
Yeah.
So, life's about a mentality, but in general, society is really, really, really soft. I had a football camp this summer. I didn't know kids can be that soft. I wasn't aware. I mean, I live in South Tampa, which is the most privileged area around. And I got kids, one kid, we're doing down-ups, and he says, Coach, I don't want to get my shirt dirty. And he's wearing a peach V-neck shirt. A peach V-neck shirt, and he said, I don't want to get my shirt dirty. I said, bro, if you don't hit the ground within the next 4 seconds, you're going to run the rest of the time. And that's the kind of stuff, that wouldn't have worked in my world.
Yeah.
Like growing up. Like I grew up with goons. Like, we weren't going out and breaking the law.
Right.
But we carried ourselves so much different than these kids now. We just didn't let anybody act a fool. It's hard for me to look at. And when I'm doing a football camp and I want to inspire kids to be football players, that's not it. Like that, you want to tell that kid, come, let me see your mother. Say, football's not for this kid, man. He's wearing a peach shirt. And listen, I'll wear a peach shirt when I'm out trying to be stylish. That's cool.
Yeah.
But not on a football field. And a lot of the kids were just there because their parents dropped them off to be babysat.
Teach them how to play flute.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, I'm not great at flute. I was just able to run into people and smash them. And so not everybody football is not the sport. If your kid doesn't like football, it ain't the sport. Like, you could fake baseball.
Sure.
You could fake soccer. You could fake basketball. You can't fake football. There's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to hide. So if your kid doesn't want to play football, don't put them in football.
The older they get, the harder they hit, basically.
Yeah. I mean, football is hard hitting all the way through.
Yeah.
All the way through.
So what was the locker room culture then like back when you were playing? Were there alphas on the team that would kind of run shit and keep people in line, or what was it like?
Well, I mean, if you really think about it, the whole locker room was full of alphas. I mean, even the last alpha was an alpha where he came from. That's just the way it goes.
Yeah, because they were the best player in their high school or whatever.
They're the best player in their conference.
And in their conference.
So to get to an NFL locker room, you had to be the best player in your college locker room, which had 110 players.
Yeah.
Like, my college had 110 players. 2 of us played in the league, okay? So the year before that, maybe 1. So there's not a lot of NFL players. Like, I hear from people, hey, I was a great high school football player. I would have made it in the league. I'm like, yo, bro, first of all, you're a great high school player. Good.
Yeah.
Just to say you'd have been a great college player is really reaching. But to say you could have made it in the league, you're just wrong. You're wrong.
Yeah.
I excelled throughout my whole career, and my aspirations were to play in the league, but so many things have to happen and fall into place to get that done. You almost got to get lucky a little bit.
Yeah.
And I don't believe in luck, but you got to be a little bit lucky throughout the way.
Yeah.
What do you think about the players now? They're a little softer these days, maybe because of the social media era, all that stuff going on. Like, you got like Odell Beckham, these guys going on the boat, taking photos.
They're trying to act like it's Ballers on HBO.
That's not ever changed. The only thing that's changed is that there's social media.
Yeah. Now you see it. Now you see it.
What would have happened back when you were playing if there was social media?
I don't know. All I know, but
would you have been in some trouble?
I'd be honest with you. If I compare myself to a lot of other guys that were around, I was very tame. Okay. Like, I was a guy to leave situations.
Nice.
Like, I was that guy.
Yeah. I'm
not a saint by any means. I get it in, but there's times where I just like, okay, this is getting a little bit too much for me. Let me leave. There was guys that I played with that, I played with Warren Sapp and, Alvin Harper and those guys. Those guys were nuts.
Yeah.
And they couldn't exist today. They couldn't exist with the social media today. And I think the players were crazier way back when. I think social media has calmed people down because, you could have done anything way back when and nobody would even hear about it. Now, Jameis Winston stands on a table and he yells out something. Now it's like national news.
Yeah.
man, the dude's like 19 years old, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
19-year-olds do stupid stuff.
Yeah.
They really do.
Especially when they got that much money. You know?
Yeah.
He probably still was at Florida State.
Yeah.
Well, he was getting free crab legs.
That's
but
there you go. At the very least.
But listen, any college student can do that. And if you're a starting quarterback on a big time team, you get evaluated differently.
Yeah.
And nobody evaluates actors and singers like athletes. If an actor does something crazy, they're like, oh, he's a rock star. It's almost cool.
Yeah.
If an athlete does something crazy, it's bad for some reason. Like it's the worst thing that could happen in the world.
Yeah.
It's the worst thing. And, an athlete gets a DUI and everybody's like, oh my God, how can he get a DUI? He has that much money. You don't need a lot of money to get a taxi or an Uber. And there's people drinking and driving all over the place. The only difference is if any of you guys get a DUI, we're never going to hear about it. If I get a DUI, it'd be on the front page. And I'm nobody. But if I get a DUI, I'm going to be on the front page. If Jameis Winston gets a DUI, it's going to be on
ESPN.
CNN.
Yeah.
So is he that important? And he's a 23-year-old young kid you gave millions of dollars to. Leonardo DiCaprio, I mean, does he act right? I mean, all he does is party and act. But if he got a DUI, nobody would flinch. Nobody would care. Nobody would really give a crap. And, just to me, somebody who's in the media, I've been in the media for a long time, and I see how people perceive athletes compared to really everybody else in society. And athletes, they get it the harshest. That's for sure.
Yeah. Why do you think that is?
Why do I think that is?
I got a theory.
Go ahead, please.
There's a cast that's been set with musicians where they're allowed to be the party animal. So over time, I mean, you're looking back to the 20s and 30s when people were smoking weed, and then the 50s and 60s where Miles Davis has changed the course of music how many times, and he was a heroin addict, and you're talking about people that died in their 20s because they were on drugs or alcohol and they drive like assholes. But then you talk about sports where these kids are wearing their jerseys and parents are paying $200 for a nice set of clothing for their kid to wear it and idolize these people. So if Jameis Winston gets a DUI, you're talking about someone's kid looking up to that guy and seeing, well, his fucking idol just got a DUI. What's the kid going to think about it?
But what if your idol's a Miles Davis and he gets a DUI? Shouldn't it be the same thing?
Miles Davis is dead, and he was a heroin addict. And
everyone
knew it.
I mean, at that time, who wasn't a heroin addict?
Of course, yeah. But
all
right,
Ray Charles was a heroin addict, and he can't even see.
Oh, I'm not knocking anyone for anything. I think it's fine if a sports player gets a DUI. I don't give a shit personally.
No, it's not.
But
it's not fine.
It's not fine. You're right. It's not fine.
I think the sport. I think the sport matters too.
Yeah.
Because you look at Lance Armstrong, like the guy lied and lied and lied, and then finally got caught, and then really nobody
gave a crap.
Yeah,
nobody gave.
They're like, oh, they're gonna sue him. Nike's gonna. Nobody went after their money.
Yeah.
Like he got one up on us, and nobody really. I think the sport. Also, football. It's the
sport.
It's the most popular sport in the country right now.
It's the country.
Yeah, you got soccer players over in Europe. I'm a big soccer guy. I mean, there's guys that have gotten in accidents, killed people. They pay off the family, and that's it. They don't even go to jail. It's not. It's
as sports are involved. It's also the country, because you're talking about Lance Armstrong being in a heavily French-dominated sport. You're talking about soccer being in a heavily South American and European sport, but football. Where's that?
As American as apple pie.
As American as it gets,
it's fast baseball for sure.
No, the culture. We have a culture in our country, okay, and we're seeing it now, more so than ever with our president, because our president doesn't hold anything back. So we're as divided as we've ever been, and things are as open as it's ever been. And I don't know if that's good or bad, but once again, being in the media, I see how the media lets you listen and you hear what they want. So I would be in the media and I'm reading stories. So if it's a black athlete or Hispanic athlete and they have 6 children, they'll say, so-and-so out of wedlock, baby mama, all negative stuff. And then I read a story about a Caucasian baseball player with 6 kids. And the whole thing read, he's a playboy, he's a stud, and that's how it's coming across. We have to understand that there's a number, I think they said 96% of Hollywood and everything that's written are written by white people. So the same is as we're looking at athletes, people get drawn to what looks like them. That's a fact. I mean, people are, what do you mean? I go, okay, say if they're in NASCAR. I don't like NASCAR. I don't know nothing about it. If there's a black NASCAR racer, I'm going to be drawn to him. That's just the way it goes. Yeah. And whether we know it or not, Caucasian fans are drawn to Caucasian players.
Right.
And that's just the way it goes. And there ain't that many. So they look at athletes, and this is the sad part. If somebody says dumb athlete, and I'm doing the quotations, people think of football players and they think of basketball players. There's no more educated athlete than a football or a basketball player. Hockey players don't go to school. Baseball players don't go to school. They don't go to school. Basketball, they make you go 1 year to school. So they take a kid out of the hood that has no money and they make him go to a year of school and waste his time and maybe forego millions of dollars. That's about as un-American as it comes for me. That's un-American as hell. So every other sport, golf, everything else, you can just go in and play at 12 if you want. And the only two sports you have to go to school are basketball and football, and that's it.
Yeah, man. I went to Wake Forest, and they get a lot of like 1 year guys in basketball that go to the NBA right away. Yeah. Like Jeff Teague, he was in my class and everything. Mm-hmm. And I was a tutor, so I used to tutor these guys for classes. Mm-hmm. And it was a really messed up thing because they had this reputation on campus, like, oh, these guys are dumb, they don't give a crap. And I really felt for them when I tutored because, first off, very smart guys, all of them. And they worked their asses off, and they'd come in with a paper, and it'd be like not done, and it was due like that night. And I'd push him. I'd be like, man, why didn't you finish your paper? And he'd be like, man, I was halfway across the country last night. Like I had to play a nationally televised basketball game, get on a flight, come back, get up, go to practice. He was like, when am I? And he's like, I'm going to the NBA next year. So why should I write this paper? And he was like, I tried my best with this, but. They're basically, I have a full-time job and I'm a full-time student.
That's almost an educated way to look at it. If you really think about it, you have to prioritize stuff in your world. And if you have a basketball game to play, that basketball game is the most important thing in your world. That paper is not.
Yep.
Okay, so you're wasting your time going to school for 1 year. You're wasting your time. What do you need it for? They're going to take 12 credits. They're not going to go. Why would they? It doesn't make sense.
It's a broken system.
You know what I'm saying?
So bad.
It's it doesn't make sense. And then you see, these schools making umpteens of millions of dollars and the corruption, and nobody really gets pissed off at Rick Pitino. Nobody really gets pissed off at him. The guy's a crook. I mean, these guys are stealing millions of dollars all over the damn place. And, oh, by the way, I was an NCAA player, and I wasn't allowed to have a job.
Or if you're my friend and I buy you a meal and somebody takes a photo of it,
not allowed to do that.
Your career could be in jeopardy.
Yeah,
it's a
but
joke.
Rick Pitino's making millions of dollars because they have Nike swoosh on. The whole system itself is crazy now. And then you got to hear, oh, we want NCAA playoffs, we want more games. What the hell? If I'm like last year, Christian McCaffrey and Leonard Fournette didn't play in their bowl game. I didn't like it because that to me is you're quitting on your team.
Yeah.
That's me. I'm playing, period. You got to think about business-wise, man. You tear your knee out the socket, then all of a sudden, those millions of dollars go away. So it's a business decision. If everybody, let's do a 16-game playoff. These guys that are going to NFL don't want to play 4 more games.
No way.
And they're making no money. To go there and beat your head in for who? So the school makes all that money? I don't know, man. Something has to change. They got to figure out a way to get these young kids that are smashing their heads into people and bringing umpteens of $1 million in people's pockets. You got to figure out a way to get them some money so they can get a freaking Big Mac.
If your team finishes 6-6 in college, do you want to wait around for 3 more weeks, not miss Christmas, just to play in a meaningless game?
That's what happens. That's what happens.
Is it really worth it? Could you get some gifts from Tostitos or whoever's sponsoring?
You don't get nothing.
They don't even give them the gifts anymore. I remember my cousin when he kicked for Michigan at the Rose Bowl, they gave him
you get a few things.
You get things, but is it worth it to go bust your ass and potentially, like you said, tear up a ligament and your second round draft stock goes to 4th or 5th?
Well, I wasn't looked at as that high of a recruit. So I would rather have played the game than not play it. But if I was a Christian McCaffrey or something like that, I kind of understand their mentality. But everybody else is in Christmas vacation, and we're in Memphis, Tennessee, smashing into each other, freezing cold. And like nobody really cares though, nobody really cares what goes into it. They just like to look at the product and enjoy it.
Right.
But I'm just telling you, sometimes they have to start thinking from the vantage point of an athlete and what they have to go through. And just like the NFL, they're talking about adding games. And you're talking about taking concussions out of the game. You're going to add games? Those things don't go together.
Yeah.
But they won't get rid of the preseason because that's just 2 home games that they can get money.
That's free money, dude. That's a lot of money.
Yeah,
it's a lot of money.
What do the players? Each player get for the Thursday night game? Because they're talking about each individual player gets about $100 and something grand for playing on Thursday night. I thought I saw that because that's what they said. 50% of the players don't want to play, but then you have the players who aren't making a lot, who that game means a lot.
No, they just make the normal. They make their normal
salary. Okay, I thought there was a bonus for playing on.
No, there should be.
Yeah, because to me, Thursday night football is the worst product the NFL has.
And the games are awful. You see players getting carted off left and right.
See, I never played. They didn't have Thursday night football when I played, but I do remember playing on Monday night and then playing the next Sunday. It's hard. I mean, when I mean hard physically, you usually play Sunday and then Sunday. You play Monday night, and that's a day and a half later. So it's a day and a half of recovery your body doesn't have. I can't imagine playing Sunday then Thursday.
That's insane.
If you play Sunday and normally you come to the complex Monday, you watch film, Tuesday off, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday practice, Saturday hang out, Sunday play. If you play Sunday, you play Thursday, you play Sunday, Monday is like Friday. Your body has to be healed, and it ain't healed. You still got to go in a hot tub and get yourself ready for the day off, and that's too much on anybody's body. It's way, way too much. I'm surprised there's not more casualties out there.
Yeah.
Why do they can't put it on a Friday? You think a day? Why? Because people aren't going to be home on Friday nights, or the ratings.
There's other stuff going on Friday night, Thursday night.
It's a kind of a lull of a night. Really
it's the TV thing. And so
Friday night is for high school football.
Yeah, and then Saturday they got the NCAA. That's why I think now they start throwing in those Saturday games later in the season because there's no college football.
Absolutely,
there's really no competition for them.
Which makes sense. That makes sense.
Saturday game is but Thursday, and as fans is like. Well, I'm only watching this because I have a fantasy player, but I don't want to watch the Rams and the Cardinals. Well, I want to watch the Rams now, but
you would.
I would. Yeah, I was telling my buddy I'd give up a couple first round draft picks for Sean McVay now because they were talking about the Gruden trade. I was reading an article and I was thinking I'd give up a lot for that guy.
Yeah, but bro, let me tell you something. Okay, coaching is overrated. You gotta have good football players, man.
Yeah, their defense is. I
mean, they have some of the best players.
You talk about D tackles, Aaron Donald, and what does McCoy make? About 15.
I think about 18 million. Yeah, ish.
Yeah,
18 million, get 35 tackles and 5 sacks a year. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess when I watch Aaron Donald play, man, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. With freshmen, you're talking about D line and O line. I watch guys like Michael Bennett, who we let walk because they didn't want to offer matches 1 year,
$5 million.
Yeah, and Donald Penn, who he was washed.
Correct.
And he's going to miss his first game, and I think it's like 07.
Correct.
We let decent players just kind of go. And we struck out that guy for the Bengals, that DN who was struck out.
Johnson.
Ayers just can't stay healthy. He's been decent. But we just kind of struck out on free agents. Even Deshaun Jackson really hasn't.
Well, I'm not blaming Deshaun for that. I think that's Jameis for me.
Yeah.
I mean, Deshaun has left a half dozen to 8 touchdowns out there.
Yeah.
Jameis just can't figure him out. But, Jameis has his strengths. Accuracy is not one of them. It's not.
Can't hit the running back out of the flat at all.
No.
Still misses high.
When Deshaun runs that slant, and that's a tough throw. That slant's a tough throw. You can't put it behind him. You can't lead him too much. That's not his thing. And if you really look at the success that Jameis has had throughout his career, he's had it with, Vincent Jackson and Mike Evans. Those guys are both, they're never open. Deshaun Jackson is open.
Yeah.
Mike Evans is never open. Throw the ball, though. He's going to go get it. So then accuracy is not that big of a deal. If it's Mike Evans or Vincent Jackson or one-on-one, put the ball up in the air. That's their thing. Deshaun Jackson's a different animal. Whereas there's so many times I see him breaking open, and if Jameis puts the ball 5 yards to the left, he's going to run under it. Instead, he throws it 5 yards over his head. And these are things you would think that you would get taken care of in practice, but game speed's always a little bit different than practice speed. And for some reason, they haven't linked up this year at all. And Deshaun Jackson's clearly frustrated.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think they kind of blew the season mismanaging his shoulder and not giving Fitzpatrick the start earlier in the year, kind of making him try to play through those couple games?
Well, I mean, when your starting quarterback wants to play, you got to let him play. And then if he goes on the field and he doesn't look right, you take him off the field. You don't think Brett Favre ever had a sprained AC joint and he played through it.
Yeah.
You got to let your guy play through his issues. He was hurting the team. Like I played some games where coach couldn't say, "Can you play?" I'm gonna tough it out. And then after the game, I shouldn't have played. I mean that happens. But when you're in a quarterback position, it's so evident. Like they were showing last night before the game some of his throws before the injury than after the injury. And you could tell his mechanics were different. The zip on the ball is different. And I thought last night he played as well as I've seen him play in a while.
I think it was his best game all year.
I mean,
complete.
In a long time. Like he looked young. His feet were great. He was making the throws. But then that being said, you're looking at statistically, Deshaun Jackson, 1 catch. O.J. Howard, 1 catch. I mean, I don't. So to me, the equation is off somehow. Something is wrong. I don't know if it's the offensive line. I don't know if it's the play calling, but something's not right when you play well and lose anyways. It doesn't matter if the Bucs play well or play poorly. They just lose. And I don't know if that's Dirk Cutter's fault. I don't know if it's Jason Light's fault. I'm not sure.
But are you you're still on Team Jameis?
Yes.
Because, we have a cousin,
Yes.
I'll shout him out, Jesse Ojeda, who has been anti-Jameis for a long time. Mm-hmm. And he says that we should just, because what his contract's coming up, right?
Well, they have the chance to pick up the option on the 5th year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But he's already on team, don't re-sign Jameis. So you're not on that team yet. You're still...
Nope. I'm definitely on Team Jameis. I mean, at the beginning of this year, I heard, when John Gruden said that Jameis is going to be the MVP, and I was like, well, let's relax, okay?
Yeah.
I heard some people say the Bucs are going to go to the Super Bowl. I knew they weren't ready for that yet. And then Jameis went from, if you talk about upcoming players, top 5 in the whole league, and in 3 weeks he plummeted all the way down to the bottom. You can't do that though. He's still that player. Mm-hmm. There was a little bit. You take these 5 games out of his career, which happened this year. The rest of it's pretty darn good. Like Jameis was pretty damn good last year. He was pretty damn good his rookie year. So that's what it is. There's so many players now who play 3 good games, and everybody wants to anoint them something. Happens all the time.
Yeah.
And then what happens 3 weeks later? Either they start stinking or they get hurt. I heard people saying, Deshaun Watson, he's going to be a Hall of Famer. And that's so disrespectful to anybody in the Hall of Fame. Dude played 5 good games. You know what? He may not play a good game again. He might not. Once you tear your knee up and you're a quarterback and you come back on a football field and now your legs are gone, now you got to be a quarterback. Because I've always said if you're succeeding at quarterback with your legs, it's going to stop. You have to be able to throw the ball from the pocket to win on a consistent basis. Now, what Cam Newton did that 1 year, a couple years ago, will never happen again. He was the biggest, strongest guy on the field, and he was lowering his head, and he did it for 16 games, which I can't believe he did. And I think he ran out of juice at the end. And you see, he doesn't really do that anymore.
No,
he's not trying to do that anymore. And nobody wants to. If you're an agent and you got a quarterback, you don't want your quarterback running the ball 20 times a game. You don't want that because his career is going to be ended real quick. Because the longevity of these guys, like when I played, quarterbacks they played every game. Troy Aikman and Brett Favre and players like that, they never missed games.
What was Eli's streak, like almost 300, something like that?
That was 217 or something. Yeah, that's a lot.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
For a guy who really is not a mobile guy who kind of just stands and takes a lot of hits, never had great O-line.
He doesn't take a lot of hits, though. I'll tell you what, Eli Manning and Peyton Manning were taught by a wise man, which I'm pretty sure was their father.
Yeah.
And the lesson was, don't take a lick for a first down. It's not worth it. Live to play another play and play another down. Because look at RG3. Okay, great. You're going to dive over 6 people head first and get a first down, but and you might hurt yourself from not being able to play for 6 weeks. Yeah. Eli Manning and Peyton Manning, you watch when somebody's coming down on them and there's a sack, and it's going to be a sack, Brad Johnson steps in when he get belted in the face. Eli Manning just says, I sit it down and I come and play it again. But that's what made Brad Johnson what he is. And Brad Johnson didn't have the skill set of Eli Manning and Peyton Manning. Yeah. So he had toughness was a big part of his thing. But those guys were I never seen any one of those. Well, the one time in the preseason I saw Eli Manning get belted and busted his head open, but you don't really see those guys get hit that much. And even Jameis, to me, gets hit too much. Like when you see a quarterback going down and trying to fight and spin and all that kind of injuries are coming.
I read an article this morning that there was friction in the Eagles locker room because I guess players have been telling Wentz that he needed to protect his body, and now they're kind of frustrated with him because they had a Super Bowl, a run with that team.
Correct.
Was that something that you think could happen? Would there ever be friction? Would the players ever look out for players like that? Is that a possibility in locker rooms, especially with a mobile quarterback?
Yeah, let me tell you about the locker room. People don't really mess with each other in the locker room, man. Like there's no time. Like I got to take care of me. And that's a lot. So I have no time to worry about everybody else. People like to use the word leadership, and it's almost overused because, they think, people on the outside think that a leader is inside of a locker room telling people stuff. That's not it. That's not, like Hardy Nickerson was a leader when I played back in the day. Mike Allstott was a leader in his own way. Paul Gruber was a leader. They didn't say nothing to me. I mean, they were leaders because you put the film on Monday and they were balling out. And those were great football players. That's why they're leaders. But people think that a leader is going to grab somebody in the locker room. Nobody's grabbing me in the locker room. Nobody's putting their hands on me in the locker room. There's a respect thing. I was around for a long time, and you just knew don't grab Ian. That's a respect thing. Don't grab Ian.
That was the rule.
But everybody in their own way, you have to figure out why you don't want somebody to grab you. It's hard to explain.
Yeah.
Like Warren Sapp's a guy, and like me and Warren are good. Warren's going to chin check you. That's just the way it is. If I'm at my office and Warren's there and you walk in, he's going to chin check you. In one way or another, he's going to see what you're about. And he's going to see whether you step forward or step backwards. If you step backwards, he's going to keep on coming at you. That's the way it goes. So somebody like Warren Sapp, Warren's a rookie, he says something to me. I said, come here. I'll sit. And I said, you will not talk to me that way. We good? He said, we're all good. He walked off. That was it. He knew not to do that. Now, if you allow him to do it, he's going to continually do it, and he's never going to stop. So a locker room is that way. When I was a rookie, I got treated like a rookie for a while. One of the older dudes stepped up to fight. You can back down if you want, but it's going to be a long year of people trying to punk you out. So I had to let people know right off the bat, I'm not that guy. So I whooped some tail that day, and I let everybody know I'm not that freaking guy. And everybody was like, you know what bullies don't want to do? Fight. Bullies don't really want to fight. Yeah. They just want to bully you. They just want to feel empowered. So if you whoop somebody's tail, the bullies will stay away from you. That's the best way. That's why when I hear this bullying and, everybody's crying, oh, my butt, I didn't come from that world, That wasn't my world at all.
No, not everybody got participation trophies when
don't get me started on that.
I had a friend tell me his nephew was in a little league and they don't keep score of runs or they just. I go, what? That's not real. That's not real life. You win in life and you lose in life. What are you teaching?
Yeah, and you play numbers along the way, motherfucker.
Yeah, right.
Get it right.
It's scary, man.
I coached for 6 years, and I watched my daughters play basketball, and they play at the Y, and they wouldn't change the score for more than 10 points. So if it was 80-20, they would just say 30-20. Like they didn't want the kids to feel bad. I got some news for you. The kids know they're getting whooped.
Yeah.
Like that's not helping anybody, And I used to have an office at the Prep of South Tampa, and we were talking about this trophy thing one day on air. And one of the guys that works there, he says, it's funny you say that. He goes, yesterday, for the first time, we said, we're not going to give out trophies. We're going to stop giving out trophies. And he said, 6 parents came up to him and said, I'm not bringing my kid back here. And another 6 kids were crying, and they had to go find them trophies. That's where we are, dude. I mean, I'm 50, and I have 3 trophies. One's a championship trophy. Like, I literally have 3 trophies. One's a championship trophy, and 2 of them are MVP trophies. I deserve those damn trophies.
Yeah.
My kids have just closets full of trophies that look exactly the same. Same damn trophy. And they're just desensitized to it. And now the kids expect a trophy. Not that they want it, they just expect it.
Right.
Because they're going to take it, and they don't. I loved my trophies. When I mean loved, I mean I had my trophies in my room, and they're set up, and I loved my trophies. These kids don't love nothing, man. They didn't earn it. And then all these kids are growing up not earning things and not struggling. I struggled, bro.
Yeah, I just wanted the game balls.
Yeah, but
that's all I wanted was the game balls. Because you knew
man.
that game, you were the reason that you guys probably won.
Exactly.
The game balls was what I wanted when I played sports.
Well, I mean, you don't get a game ball by not balling out.
Exactly.
Like you shouldn't get a trophy unless you ball out. But there's a lot of trophies out there.
This generation's scary.
You should open up a trophy shop. I never thought about that. It's a good idea, though. Hey. They're not stopping. They can't stop giving out the trophies, man.
Yeah, it's like death, taxes, and trophies.
That's it. I never heard it that way, but yes, I get it.
So tell us a little bit more just about what's going on in Ian Beckles' world right now. I know, we mentioned at the beginning you got your own podcast and you're doing a bunch of things. So what's the day-to-day like? What are you up to?
Well, Dignitary is my brand. Something we started a while ago. It's kind of a concierge card that gives you discounts at places like the Blind Tiger. How about that?
Yeah.
So these are my people. So I represent some products out there, some restaurants, Manny and Gordon. I got a couple different people that I'm kind of like their brand ambassador. And so what I don't even really work for the station, the radio station. So I'm kind of like an outsider. I don't work for them. They don't pay me. We just kind of have an understanding to where, my brand ambassadorship is going to run through the radio. And if you've been around radio, when you work for the station, that can't happen. When you work for the station, then you got to say what you're supposed to say. I'm in a different situation where while I'm on air, I can say whatever the hell I want to say. I can pump up Cigar City. I can pump up anything I want. So that's a good thing. So what I'm doing is I'm doing marketing, representing a bunch of brands. Dignitary does a bunch of events. I think we do the best events in town. We're actually looking at doing a music fest coming up.
You gotta talk to us about that, man.
Oh, there's no doubt about it, bro. I mean, we're going to do a music fest. I've been talking to people at Cheval. We're going to use their driving range, which is going to be plenty of space. Going to get an association with people like Tito's and Bud Light and hopefully Cigar City and Truly, even new company that I'm dealing with, the legal...
the dispensary?
Yeah, that's my people. Yeah, they keep me right. So I got my card. Now I'm official.
Well, I have a buddy, Rodney Bailey. He played for the Patriots and the Steelers, and he had to do the whole process too, because he's been going to the doctors for the CTE and stuff, and
sure.
he's it works. I imagine a lot of players, especially you guys that have been in the league 10, 20 years, that's something that they turn to. What's your take on that? Do you think active players should be able to use it?
Of course. Come on.
Yeah, but
do you
think that'll get changed in the CBA?
No, but come on,
I'm with you. I agree.
It's 2017 now.
You can't look at the facts now.
Just read it. Read
exactly.
about it.
Yeah.
Like there's literally studies that show that marijuana is good for football players. That's okay. So, if you can't smoke marijuana, and let me say this: if you pass your drug test in July, which is one drug test that we have, if you pass that drug test, that's the only time you get tested for illicit drugs throughout the whole season. So you can smoke weed all year long, and everybody does. All players. Funny thing, I did not. I didn't even try smoke weed till I was 35. Okay, everybody else was smoking around me all the time. There's study that marijuana is the best, and I'm gonna say drug, but it ain't a drug. The best thing for football players because instead of taking anti-inflammatories and Xanax and Ambien and all the stuff that tears your body up, you're smoking something that's from the earth. That's, you can look and see the negatives. There's not many. So it's getting to a point now where I don't even know what people are fighting anymore. They're just fighting big drug money. That's all
the
they're
pharmaceutical
doing.
company.
That's all they're doing.
The political people who get the money from the
That's all it is. That's all it is now, though. But it's to a point now when I hear people speak out against it, I just go somewhere else.
What about like a Denver Bronco player? Shouldn't they be able to smoke? They live in Colorado.
They do.
Yeah.
They don't.
But per NFL rules, they obviously can't.
They cannot. Yes.
You would think, hey, I live in a state where I'm allowed to do it. I should be allowed to do it.
Zeke Elliott got in trouble for just walking in a dispensary.
guy doesn't know somebody's going to take a photo of him, but
but
he's in Seattle. Me and you, and anybody else can do the same thing. So because he does what a normal citizen does, but like you said, he's the star of America's team, the Dallas Cowboys, the number one football team. It gets magnified to something way bigger than it really is.
But isn't it crazy though? Isn't it crazy that everybody else is walking around allowed to do it, and because you play a game where you smash your face into somebody for a living, you can't do it? That doesn't make any damn sense, does it?
And 90% of the people in there probably wouldn't recognize him because you don't see his face.
Exactly.
So that's the other thing. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah,
but I'm with you. I think the NFL players and I think all athletes at this point for pain benefits, sleeping benefits, whatever. But like you said, it could totally ruin.
That's what's
their
surprising
career
to me
by
is that you're saying that everybody's doing it.
They're all doing it. Everybody's doing
and it's not a secret. It's like,
well, it's a secret.
Well, but amongst players, everybody's like,
well, nobody talked about it, but I know what's happening because I didn't smoke at that time. So
you weren't in the cool kids club.
Nope, I was. I was actually like the funny duddy from back in the day. The funny part was a lot of guys. If you get busted at some time, then you're on a program and you got to pee twice a week. So that I knew some people were on the program. And I had a couple of times have people call me like, yo, dude, I need some pee. Like, I had the cleanest pee in the team, bro. So people used to come and pee for people, and they do whatever they got to do. But, I was the only one with clean pee back in the day. So
hope you said a burned steakhouse on you for hooking you up or something like that.
I should have charged people for it.
Right?
Yeah. But, it's people think that athletes are the cleanest. Like, people, you guys have to eat clean. Get out of here. Yeah. Nah, man. A lot of athletes eat, drink, do whatever. There's guys acting a full day of the game. I knew some players that would drink 3 bottles of wine the night before the game, before a start. There's a lot of crazy cats, man.
Who was the pitcher that threw the no-hitter on LSD?
Doc Ellis.
Doc Ellis.
Yeah,
Rasheed Wallace said that he would smoke on the way to the games.
Of course.
He's like, I would walk through the hallways. I know people smelled it. He's like, no one would tell me anything.
Yeah, but it's not... Once again, I didn't do it until late in my life. And somebody, my boy was like, hey, let's go get a little something and lift weights. I'm like, that's stupid. Until I did it, and I got it, and it made sense. You know what I mean? So basketball, it doesn't mess with your cardiovascular. It just kind of relaxes you a little bit.
Yeah.
So I don't think I wouldn't smoke and play football. I don't think that's a good idea. But basketball, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe.
I liked Pat McAfee, the punter for the Colts, when he retired. He said the first thing he did the next day was he took an Adderall, and he tweeted out. And he goes, "Now I know why this thing is a banned substance." He's like, "I feel like I could do anything on this thing." He's like, "Now I get it." But I thought it was funny. That was literally the first day after his retirement. He tweeted that. He's like, "Now I get it."
Well, actually, I just had an evaluation for the CTE thing. I'm fine. But you have to get yourself evaluated because if 10 years from now there's an issue, they have to have something to fall back on. So I did the whole CTE thing, and my memory itself, like if you make me remember stuff, it's not great, but like that, it's almost like an IQ test, and that's really how I've excelled in my whole life. I'm good at common sense. So the doctor's like, yeah, you're answering these questions too quick. So you can't go in there and play dumb, right?
Yeah.
But the memory part of it wasn't great. Like, he's like, give me a few numbers and remember it, and it wasn't great. So he prescribed me Adderall. And I get it. I swear to God, if I was playing right now, I would never want to play without an Adderall. I'm just telling you. I've never done cocaine. I don't know anything about it. I know some players play with it back in the day. But an Adderall is like, I'm just telling you, bro.
Even film prep, dude, you can lock in for 4 or 5 hours and feel like in 30 minutes.
Yeah, the first time I took one, I got on the radio. I caught myself talking, writing, texting, and thinking about 3 things at the same time. It was the craziest, and I was like, I'm freaking Superman. Yeah. And then I went to the office and I made 30 phone calls. I don't never make a phone call, never. Like, I'm scared of my phone. And I went to the office and I'm like, oh my God, I love the phone. And it was like, and it was the most productive day of my life. And I go, this is the best thing in the world. So if those players, I guarantee, and the NFL is not the only place that Adderall is prevalent.
Sure.
Every bar out there, everybody at 2 a.m. is popping them, and schools, people pulling all-nighters and stuff like that.
They assign them like
college.
They prescribe them like candy in college.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
So so we're pretty much out of time. But before we go, I have to ask.
Go ahead.
Because one of my favorite stories, just period, is the police horse.
Okay.
So what happened with the police horse?
Okay.
Was it a poke?
No.
Or like a...
Yeah, well, back in, I don't know how many years it was, 6 years or so ago.
It was in 2012.
I know. Was it 2012? Damn, you know more than me. I was at the Citizen Cope concert, and it was a great concert.
Was that the Amalie Arena?
No, it was at Janice Live.
Janice Live.
Janice Live.
Okay, so this is St. Pete. Okay.
Yeah.
I know the horse cops.
They are not. First Friday, I've seen
Well, there's a lot of things that I learned after the fact. This is what I learned after the facts. Don't pet a horse. Okay. Don't pet a cop horse. Did you ever hear that before?
No.
Have anybody ever heard that before?
When I was younger, a cop, he goes, if you do this, it's
you can
like
be arrested.
You hit me.
You can be
Assault
arrested.
on an officer.
Don't pet a cop.
Don't touch. And
Don't
the
pet a
canine
cop.
dog, he told me, I go, yes, sir. And I've never since then, I don't even look at him.
Well, you know what they can actually do? If you pet a horse, they can really arrest you for, that's a cop.
Yeah, assault on an
officer.
Yeah.
So, after the Citizen Cope concert, and me and my boy was there, and we were good. We were good, feeling good. Okay, and we had a car that we had was across the street, and if you come out of Janice, the car is right across the street. So I'm thinking, I don't want to walk all the way to the corner and do all that. I'm just kind of sneak right across. In Tampa, you could jaywalk and nobody gives a crap. Then I found out afterwards also St. Pete ain't Tampa, and St. Pete cops are not Tampa cops. So I walk across the street halfway, and all of a sudden the cop comes with a horse across from me. And once again, I'm playful, Ian, giddy, joking around. I'm like, all right, guys, all right. And I pet the horse, jokingly. And he didn't think it was funny. And next thing you know, I put my hands behind my back, and he's yelling and at first I really thought that he was joking. Because I've been pulled over before by a cop to tell me he loves my shop. And I said to the cop, I go, thank you, but please don't. Brothers don't have to get pulled over. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? Like, you never know what's going on in that car. He pulling me over, now I'm tripping,
Yeah.
So, I was waiting for him to laugh and say, oh, man, I love your show. Like, literally. And next thing you know, I'm sitting in the back of a paddy wagon driving with all these lunatics. And the dude beside me says, what are you in here for? And I literally go, I have no idea. I have no idea. Like, I didn't know what I did. Was I drunk? Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah. But I didn't do anything. So that's my story.
St. Pete, man. That's why I stay away from there.
Yeah.
I love how you were basically like, because you were on the air the next morning.
Next morning, yeah. And me, like an idiot, I thought that nobody was going to hear about it. I was wrong.
No, it was everywhere.
Everywhere. Like it was on Channel 8. They stopped the news, breaking news.
Yeah.
And they put my
Ian
picture.
Beckles strokes a horse.
Seriously, breaking news. Ian Beckles arrested for a police officer. And I was like, well, I mean, I didn't know I was that popular. Cool. Yeah. But it's cool to be that popular. Not so cool for your kids.
Sure.
Who my wife, for some reason, didn't tell them anything as they went to school. Everybody's like, hey, your dad got arrested. And my kids were like, no, he didn't. They're like, yeah, he did. So that didn't turn out that well.
No, I just love like the Tampa Bay Times article. I pulled it up, and just the way they wrote it. It said another officer began to yell, "Don't touch the horse! Don't touch the horse!" Beckles touched the horse.
It was a beautiful horse. It was beautiful. Really,
That's great.
Yeah, I mean, once again, you learn.
Yeah. I will never touch a horse because of you. So thank you for.
Yeah, you also learn who your real friends are too. Yeah. I had some people looking at me funny, and I looked at them. I go, "Did you read the story?
Yeah.
Did you read the story? And who got hurt but me? And nobody got hurt. I didn't hurt the horse.
No,
I'm the one that got hurt. I got to deal with all this crap.
Yeah.
Nobody got hurt. And that's what I said to my kids. I said, hey, first of all, I was wrong. Because I told my kids, if your teacher comes and says you did something, you're wrong. Then we talk about it, but you're wrong. So I said, first of all, I was wrong. But then read it and see who got hurt. Nobody got hurt. Right. Your father's not a bad person.
There's a lot worse.
There's a lot like just a lot of stuff. I didn't put my hands on nobody.
Yeah.
And and the cop who looked at me, and I looked at the cop in his eyes, and I just saw that he didn't like me for whatever reason.
Yeah.
He didn't like me. And then I was like, so I guess you're a tough guy, I guess, because you don't have to arrest somebody if they touch the horse.
No,
it's
you don't
on
have
you.
to. Right.
It's on you. Like I heard of a story. This player at Florida that barked at a police dog through the window and got arrested.
Fucking what?
You know what I'm saying? No, like so. Is there a rule against that?
Yeah. Is there a rule against me making noises in public? Fuck you.
Well, but listen, this the other day, I can't remember who the actor was, or it might have been an athlete. He called a cop a bitch, and next you know he's being arrested. You better not. If you piss a cop off, a cop will just going to arrest you. You didn't have to. You didn't have to have a reason.
Yeah.
A reason is you pissed him off. I mean, cops have a lot of. Listen, I have the utmost respect for a cop.
Yeah, I would never call a cop a bitch.
Yeah. Absolutely not. Yeah. Absolutely not. And the thing is, I'm scared of cops, and I'm also scared of horses. That's why it's so funny that I'm terrified of animals in general. Like, I don't touch nobody's animals. And I was just at Citizen Cope concert, got me all riled up.
Citizen Cope, man.
He's nice, though. He's nice. Yeah, man, he's nice.
That's awesome.
All right, well, Ian, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Anytime.
We'll have to come on, in the trenches.
Let's get it done.
Let's do it.
Let's get it done, man.
We can talk bucks. We can go for hours.
You can go for hours for the Bucks? Well, I can tell you guys are legitimate Buccaneer fans from what you guys have spat out today. You guys taught me some things as well, some statistics I didn't even know.
I only remember the losses, hardly remember any of the big. I mean, you remember the big wins, but I remember a lot of the
big wins.
Yeah, I mean, there were some big wins. The Rams Monday night games in the early 2000s. It's
a long time ago.
What I got to grasp on. Raheem went 10-6, and we missed the playoffs. That's about the best.
How old are you?
Actually 30, believe it or not.
Okay.
So, I've been going since about 7 years old. My dad at those games.
And I never realized it, but, somebody who's 25 years old, they don't know nothing about the Bucks being good. Like, they don't know nothing about it. There's a lot of people here that haven't seen any success. But for the last 10 years, it's been god-awful.
The only game that felt like in 08, 98 was last year's game when they finished that 5-game win streak and beat Seattle at home.
Okay.
That was the first time in that stadium, the buzz, the excitement, the crowd, the energy, the defensive, getting the crowd up. That was the first time since, a playoff season that I felt like that in that stadium.
And it carried over to the beginning of this year because I went to a couple events and people were amped.
I was against the whole Hard Knocks thing because I felt like that kind of takes people out of their normal routine.
Okay.
So I was kind of against it, and I kind of thought that they kind of just got bigger than what they were. They hadn't really won anything. They had a winning year. They didn't make the playoff. They didn't get a wild card. So I was on the train too. Don't get me wrong. We had all the pieces ready to go, but something.
Well, to me, that's not going to be a difference between winning or losing. I think if you're a good football team, regardless, you're going to win. But when you watch Hard Knocks, it makes you fall in love with people, not because of their play, but because of them. You talk about Baker. Everybody's like, oh, I love this guy. I loved him too. Not anymore.
1 sack.
I mean, 1 sack, but I swear to God, he makes 1 tackle a game. 1 tackle a game. And we got a lot of players making a lot of money making 1 tackle a game. That ain't it. Okay. And there's not enough dogs out there because I'm watching other teams play and I don't know their players and they're out there balling out and playing hard. You could tell the feel's different. And our defense has lost its feel. Yeah. Other than Quad Alexander, there's not anybody really running around tattooing anybody. And it used to be that way, and it's definitely not that way anymore.
A long way back.
I don't even know where they go now. That's what's scary. I mean, they went from all this potential to now what?
Such a plummet.
Something's going to happen.
We can spend all 2018 talking about it. I'm sure we're going to be talking about it a lot.
Already doing draft talk.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just one question. I'm part of a group called Assholes and Cigars.
Okay.
And you've been nuked. Wants to know, is that barbecue in Plant City he talks about really that good?
Yes. Smoking Aces. It's 100% that good. I mean, I know barbecue, bro. I'm not gonna play with you. I know barbecue. I've been in barbecue competitions. I've won barbecue competitions. I do a show with Ray Lampy, and he's, if not the foremost name in barbecue, second in the nation. So I've eaten it. I'm exposed to it, and I'll drive all the way to hell to Plant City for Smoking Aces. Wow. Their freaking barbecue is amazing. Robert, the chef, he's really a competition guy. And you don't really see people that are restaurant owners and competition guys. He still does that. So his stuff is top notch. Top notch.
There's nothing that I would drive to Plant City for. So
I understand.
This is the thing.
I understand.
It's true.
Yeah, man.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Anytime.
Thanks.